YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. And today I got post NFL draft power rankings. A lot of people requested these. Here they are. I usually only do them in regular season where, we can see if teams are hot and cold. That's kind of what it's based on. But here, at this point of the offseason, kind of just basing it off of teams' rosters, impact players, kind of where they are and how they are against the field. A lot of times people comment, well, you have this team here, whether it's 2 to 4 teams. You can't really compare like head to head, or I'm comparing and ranking 32 teams. These also are not predictions at all. They're not predictions for the season. Obviously, this will tell you what I think of teams going into the season. The schedule's coming out very soon. We can make the predictions based off that because that will matter a ton. And it does matter who's in whose division for predictions as well, and this is just ranking 32 teams, so hopefully everyone understands. Some teams have to be on the bottom. I don't think there's terrible teams in the NFL based on their roster, so that's the good thing. Before we get started, we have a 50K subscriber goal. We got 2 channels. Please subscribe to both. Follow that Twitter. We're going to have some polls on that Twitter that will be involved. We'll be taking the results into videos, upcoming videos that have to do with NFL content, of course. So you're going to want to follow that Twitter to get ready for that, and a lot more on that Twitter anyways. The podcast is returning. Took a little time off during the draft. It's coming back. We're on Spotify and Apple. Can't wait to get that grind going again. But the power rankings here, 32 teams. We're going to rank them. I'm going to get ripped for somebody's favorite team being too low. Just that's how it goes. So number 32 is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. Do I think the Jaguars are a bad team or a terrible team? I do not. But the way the teams sit, they all look pretty good. I think every team, you can make an argument, is in a pretty good place for going forward or maybe for right now. The Jaguars come at 32. Minshew did impress. He did surprise. I was a guy, during the college football season, not this past season before, was a little higher on Minshew than most people in terms of a draft prospect. So I believe that he can get the job done. There's not a whole bunch of trust there. There's nothing that's really wowing me on the, on the offense. On the defense, I do like the pass rush, adding Chase on in there with Josh Allen, who I'm a huge fan of, obviously. Adding Joe Schobert gives you a little bit of versatility, flexibility, I guess. Within that defense, move some guys around. They're kind of lacking at the D tackle position. The secondaries, struggle at times. And, it's a little bit of a mess situation. A lot of players don't really want to be there. So all of that going together is maybe why I'm a little more confident on ranking the other teams higher. Number 31, a defense that I really like. I got the Jets down at 31. I love their draft as well for the most part. I love this defense. Really, they need more pass rush. I guess if they had a pass rush I was confident on, then they would be higher because we know how much of an impact pass rush is. But they do have a really good defense. It's really good defense here, with the safety duo. They add Ashton Davis to that. I'm looking forward to that. I think it's a perfect pairing, him and Jamal Adams. They do have Marcus May as well. The defensive line, Quinn Williams is going to take that step up. People, those people that kind of rip guys for kind of being quiet in the year one when they're supposed to be like an elite prospect, those people just don't have, a ton of knowledge. Quinn Williams is going to be a big-time player, so I'm looking forward to that. The inside linebacker group's looking great. It's that pass rush group, but that defense is going to win them games either way. I just really still, I can't overreact too much from the draft. Sometimes I do that, kind of hold myself back on that one because I'm just still not trusting this offense, for multiple reasons. The offensive line, even though they got it better. They got it better, but it's just, are they going to turn it around like that? Is there enough pieces there? And then you got a quarterback, Sam Darnold, who I believe he can continue to improve. I'm not doubting that. I just haven't been a huge believer in him and his talents, the ability to control the game, close games out. He'll have those bad turnovers still, and you need to have a top-tier offensive line and some top-tier weapons for him to look better, much better, and they don't really have that right now. Bell's really not the same as he once was, and he's in Gase's system where he doesn't like to run the ball. Yeah, and talking about Adam Gase, I had never really been a big believer in him. So that's kind of what's holding me back on the Jets. Love what they did in the draft, and I like their defense very much, but they're down at 31. Is an offensive league. Number 30 is going to be the Dolphins, a team that definitely got better. People are going to say, how are they not higher than 30? They got so much better, and that's true. They got so much better, but it doesn't, it's not magic. You can't just move this team ahead of other teams that also got better. And they could be much better in this. We'll see what I predict for the season, and then we'll see what actually happens for the season. They'll have a pretty, this similar to last year. They'll have an explosive offense at times. At times last year they had a pretty explosive offense. You're throwing the ball downfield, just big plays, putting up a lot of points sometimes. But I think it'll be pretty inconsistent too, which we saw last year, just because the lack of overall talent. Tua makes them better. Hopefully, he stays healthy. He has that big playability. I think he can be a Pro Bowl quarterback. He doesn't have the offensive line. The offensive line, yes, got better. Does that mean it's good? It does not mean it's good. It's still not good, but it's better. And then, you could get better elsewhere, but it's just still a team I think needs time, and that's fine. Perfectly fine. They're in a good spot. Look at the defense. Yeah, adding Van Noy's big time. You have one of the better corner groups, I should say, not secondaries, corner units in football. But how much of an impact does that really, really make? Adding Van Noy is big time. The defense will be better. They spent their money as they should have. They will be better in the future. It's just I still feel an inconsistent team based on their roster and based on what's new, and especially what's going on in the world. The quarantine. We'll see what happens going forward. But the teams that have a lot of new faces and their team that was kind of in that hasn't been used to winning recently, they could struggle this year. Number 29 is going to be. I really like this Redskins defense. This defense really could win them a lot of games. Could win them their division, and this isn't division predictions, obviously. See, that's another thing. You can't take the 4 division teams and say that's what you think they're going to finish as. If somebody says that, that's just not it at all. So please, hopefully everyone's listening. Not predictions, but defense. Love the defense. The pass rush will be ridiculous. Love the defensive line. Deron Payne, Jonathan Taylor, Matt Ioannidis. That's a really good interior line, which the outside pressure is going to get all the praise, which it will deserve some. It's a good group, good coach, Ron Rivera, defensive coach. The offense will still struggle. It's an offensive league. Haskins, if you've been watching my videos, I'm a believer in Haskins. There'll be some struggling moments. Still a little iffy on the offensive line. It's kind of been like that for some time now. They lose Trent Williams. They're going to need somebody to step up. Will it be Sadiq Charles? Will it be Christian? Somebody's going to have to step up, and I do like a guy like Charles, but how much of an impact is he going to make right away? The receiver unit's still lacking. I love adding Antonio Gibson, whether he's going to be receiver, running back, both. Love it. They're heading in the right direction, just not enough offense right now. 28, a team that I think could be sneaky good, but I still got the Giants towards the bottom. Again, I think for the most part, every team in the NFL is good the way I evaluate them right now. How I evaluate the rosters, where the talent's at. We are in a good place. If you love the NFL, if you love football, we are in a fantastic place. Nobody is bad. The Giants can be a sneaky good team. That Saquon Barkley is ready to actually, because we know the idea of Saquon Barkley can be easily, by far, the best running back in all of football. He hasn't done it yet, but we still know it's going to happen. It can happen, and that could be now. Opening the run-up like that could really open up the passing game, which could make them scary. What it is about this team, they're starting to become a pretty complete team. There's really no giant holes. I'd say things can definitely get better. I'd say pass rush, maybe it's a bit of a hole, which is a pretty important one, which I guess kind of holds them back. But there's nothing really to wow about this team, maybe besides Saquon Barkley. You love the idea of Daniel Jones being better than was expected, better than where he was expected in his rookie year, and you guys got guys like Darius Slayton. The future's bright with a duo like that, with more than a duo here. But there's really not enough impact talent, I don't think. Star power maybe, which does matter. And I guess that is what, in the lack of pass rush, is what's keeping them down. But a pretty damn good 28. May surprise a lot with this one. I really shouldn't, because at this point of the offseason, I have to just go off roster impact players and how I think the teams stack up against the field. 32, 31 other teams, I guess. It's not head-to-head. But the Patriots are at 27, really based on the roster alone. Patriots might be worse than 27. There's pieces I really like. They have a stacked secondary for the most part. We'll see if it's still stacked. How's the safety duo going to be? It's kind of aging. They do add Kyle Duggar. Like the cornerback group. Pass rush not there. The linebacker. Maybe they drafted right for that. Special utility linebacker that's so important to them. But is it going to click right away? That's the question. Is the defensive line's kind of lacking. Just not a whole bunch of pass rush from that defense, and that's kind of the name of the game for them recently. Offense, again, N'Keal Harry's going to step up. It's not one of those guys you can judge after the first year. He's going to step up. And then, I like the running back room. Michelle, maybe a little off last year for some. I like Sony Michel a lot. I like Jarrett Stidham. I think I was higher than pretty much everyone on Jarrett Stidham coming out of Auburn last year. But there's just not enough on this team. But, because of their coaching, that bumps them up a little bit. And, they'll probably be, again, it's not predictions. They'll probably be better than this because of their coaching and their geniuses over there, and some think they could be tanking for Trevor Lawrence. We'll see what they do, but just the talent on the roster just really isn't there right now. There's still some developing that needs to be done. 26 is the Bengals, and I almost want to put the Bengals higher in this. It's one of those teams. I have a lot of those teams, but this is where I ended up putting them. And why? Because I think Joe Burrow's that good. I think he's that good. I think he's going to come and make that huge impact. I think he's in the right system. And I think I am higher on the Bengals than most people, so I'm okay having them 26. But then what people forget is the last few drafts, last few impact rookies they brought in, these guys are ready to break out. Jesse Bates and adding Von Bell, a guy like Jesse Bates. Linebacker unit's been a mess. They're really building that up now. They could get better in some spots, but in the offensive line is the worry for me too. There's spots in the defense where they could get better. The offensive line's a little bit of a worry, but they could be a sneaky team. This could be a very sneaky, scary team, but I got them down here right now. Number 25 is the Panthers, another team that could be, somewhat sneaky. But this roster, in terms of the whole roster, it still has a bit to go. Still they filled some needs. How will some of these rookies be? You only expect a couple, maybe, to be impacts. You still need to fill some. There's still spots where you definitely can get better on the defense. You're losing Luke Kuechly, of course. But all over the secondary, the D-line, of course, they added Derek Brown. That's big time. But then you look at the offense. I love Teddy Bridgewater. I've been a huge Teddy Bridgewater fan, since I watched him in Louisville early on in his career there. Very accurate quarterback. And people kind of worry about the downfield. He has the big playability in him. So I think those people just, just a little hard on him. But maybe just doubting him still coming back because of the bad injury. But I like the coaching staff. There's a lot to like about this team. Having McCaffrey in there, DJ Moore. I just still think this team has some. It's a fresh team. It feels like they still have some holes to fill. Offensive line isn't anything guaranteed. It's something I'm kind of worried about too. So they still have a ways to go. Last year I kind of thought that it felt like there was more holes than people thought. They were actually winning early on, but then it kind of once the NFL year, season takes shape, you understand. They're missing a bit, and now they lose Kuechly. So they still have a ways to go. They're in the right spot, though, with that coaching staff and who they brought in, the young talent. They're in the right direction. 24 is going to be the Browns. Back and forth in the Browns because it's a pretty good roster overall. Offensive line definitely got better, but it doesn't mean it's going to be, it's going to be great. That does not mean that. So some people kind of get confused. Like, they made it better, so this is going to be great now. Not how it works. But I do like what they added. Pass protection, could be an issue still. Conklin wasn't the best pass protector, mainly just a run blocker, and that showed at Tennessee every single year. But interior pressure is mainly what I'm looking at. That kind of was a problem last year that kind of went unnoticed. It's easy to blame the tackles, which the tackles were to blame a lot of the time last year too. So interior pressure at Baker Mayfield, I still worry about. I do think he'll step up this year, Baker, that is. The offense, can it click? Can Odell... it just seems like wherever Odell goes, it's just, let's kind of break this curse here. Let's start winning here. They got to get together as a team. No nonsense. That's what I want to see. Defensively, again, not too many major holes, but other than Myles Garrett, I do like Sheldon Richardson. Is there anything to go crazy about? Denzel Ward's a fine young prospect, still has some ways to go. I thought he was a little better in his rookie year than last year. But yeah, there's still a lot of spots where they're okay, but they can definitely get better. And then they bring in Stefanski, so maybe it's an upgrade. People weren't happy with Kitchens. What I worry about Stefanski, his offense is nothing unique. It's just kind of run the ball, let's get the ball to the running back. We'll take some shots here and there. So I do kind of worry about that in a way. But it was an upgrade from last year. So they're at 24 for now. 23 is going to be the Raiders, another team. I think it's a complete team. There's no like spot where, yeah, that's a hole. Like, I don't really say that with the Raiders, but again, they don't really have anything to go crazy about. No crazy. Who look at the defense even. There's pretty. It's like I said, it's pretty complete. But who is the best player on that defense? Max Crosby is impressive, but if that's your best player on your defense, yeah, I think they still got some work to do. Some developing, maybe, is the right word to do. Offensively, yeah, I guess guys like Ruggs, Jacobs, the guys that will be maybe those huge impact guys. Is it enough? Derek Carr needs to stay consistent. He absolutely needs to stay. Inconsistency is his problem. First half, the early part of last year, I thought was, easily a top 15 quarterback. Really fell apart after that. So I just want to see consistency, maybe need some more star power. 22 is the Falcons, and this this offense really could lead them pretty far. And again, not predictions. I'll keep saying it. So I'm not predicting them to finish the 22nd best team in football. That's not at all what this is. But that defense is still pretty messy, if I'm being honest here. The offense isn't where it once was. Like I said, offense can be high-powered. I expect it to be somewhat high-powered and can lead them far, but it's nothing, spectacular. It's not a Chiefs offense, and that's what they need to pick up the slack of the defense and, dare I say, coaching staff. So that's kind of where I'm at there. It's still a work in progress, the defense, and it's a tough task. So this offense needs to be playing at the elite level at all times. That's another tough task right there. Number 21 is going to be the Rams. They were just in the Super Bowl a couple years ago, but really evaluating this roster, a big problem is the offensive line still that can hold them back. There's nothing to absolutely go crazy about in the offense. It was kind of McVay for a year with a unique offense, and, it's hard to stay unique past that point, especially when your offensive line takes a bump back. It'll be fun to watch. They got a good group of talented guys there on the offense. The defensive side, yeah, it's pretty much Aaron Donald. I love the Terrell Lewis draft pick. Let's see if he stays healthy. I love other draft picks too, even on the offense side, Akers, Van Jefferson, defense, Terrell Burgess. I like the secondary. I think the secondary is going to be really good. That's really the only thing that and Aaron Donald to really get excited about this team. I still worry about the offensive line affecting them. And there still are some holes on this team, so that's why they're at 21. 20 is the Lions. Maybe I'm a little higher on the Lions than everyone else. I think they're a pretty complete team. It's really just about staying healthy. You look at, Stafford's got to stay healthy. He was playing hurt. It feels like for the last couple of years now. He actually came out last year. And being healthy and being consistent, because all of a sudden we see the Lions are looking pretty good, and all of a sudden just kind of fall apart, whether it's injury or not, related. They add Swift to the running back group. The offensive line looks like it could be improved this year. I guess that's still to be determined part. Yeah, the receiver unit, I love Kenny Galladay. Was a huge fan of him on NIU, big-time player. They could get better at the rest of the unit. I think Marvin Jones is very underrated. I think he's pretty good. Just him staying healthy, and if he goes down, once he went down the pass, there's not much going there. So really, it kind of goes back to staying healthy. The defense, we thought the defensive line, the new faces would click last year. Wow, look at this group. Sometimes it kind of just takes some extra time, and I think they got better within there. They did lose Slay, brought in Akuda, so it's kind of, I guess that's a lot of expectations to have Kuda play up to Slay's ability right away. So, but yeah, just another year with that. A lot of new guys there and bringing in a pretty good draft class. The Lions realistically could win the NFC North, and we'll see what I predict. They'll be playing a last place schedule, so that definitely changes things. I think if they stay healthy, they could win it. I really think so. So, I might surprise people with the Lions at 20. I think they could be better by the end of the season than that. It depends on if they stay healthy. For the most part, the reason why is I think it's a pretty complete team. Stafford, if healthy, can wow. They have some players like that. Kenny Galladay. You look at the defense. A guy like Trey Flowers going to step up, break out. You look at the group. They got a pretty good safety group back there. I think a guy like Tracy Walker being very young, a playmaker. So I kind of like this Lions team. It's just about consistency, health, and maybe coaching too. 19 is going to be the Chargers. Tough to rank the Chargers. I love this defense. This defense alone could get them in the playoffs. It very well could be the best defense in football by the end of this year. I'm not saying it will be. It's not a prediction yet, but we'll get there when the time's right. But it's up there. It's definitely up there with the pass everywhere. Pass rush, secondary is great. Impact players for sure, well coached on the defense side. Just worry about the offense. Look at the offensive line. They didn't really make the offensive line better, which that was a reason I think Rivers struggled. Rivers tried to force things, so that's his own doing. But a lot of the times we saw the turnovers come, it was when he was really under pressure. And that's just a true pocket passer. When a true pocket passer is under a tremendous amount of pressure, especially at his age, you shouldn't really expect things to go all that well. So that was kind of a problem. I think it will remain a problem. Quarterback is also a problem. Nobody on their team's as good as Rivers last year. So, and it's offense is the name of the game. Protecting the quarterback's a big name of the game, and the quarterback play is a huge, part of the game. So that is why, I want to put them higher because that defense, but that is kind of why I have to keep them down. 18 is the Cardinals, a roster that I really like. It's a really good roster, the perfect system for Kyler Murray. We know that. They'll take a step up. It was first-year coach last year, first-year Kyler Murray. They'll take the step up. They brought in Kenyon Drake, at the point where the season felt like it was over, and they found something that clicked, that worked. So there's more time developing that. They have uniqueness to this offense, and that's what I like, and that is what could put them even better by the end of the year than 18. I do worry about another team. I do worry about the offensive line. We just talked about the Chargers. I do worry the offensive line could hold them back. A lot of new faces on the defense as well. The defense is really coming together, though. More help for Chandler Jones. That secondary is pretty underrated. It'll be pretty good. It's a team that definitely got better, especially on going back to the offense side, adding DeAndre Hopkins. Team that got a lot better. It could be a sneaky team. It's one of those teams where I wouldn't really want to play as a coach because I don't really want a game plan for this team because I don't really know. You don't really know fully how to do it correctly. So that's what could. We saw that factor for the Ravens last year. We can see that factor for the Cardinals this year. Just the offensive line in spots where they could get better. On the defense, maybe what's holding them back to 18, but that's pretty good. For the Cardinals. Number 17 is going to be the Texans. They definitely took a step down this year. But I like Deshaun Watson, big Deshaun Watson fan. He can beat you by himself at any time, and that's going to keep them winning games. And they do have more talent than that. It's not like they lost all their talent. I do worry about the pass rush on defense. Losing DeAndre Hopkins in the offense, nothing really spectacular provided with Deshaun Watson on the offense. Will Fuller's pretty special, I think, when he's healthy, but that's a big if. Defense, worry about the pass rush, secondary struggles at times. Just nothing really stands out a whole bunch to me besides Deshaun Watson. Obviously, there's some other big names, but are those guys going to impact the game that much? They're going to be able to help Deshaun Watson carry this team. That's kind of the question. I think Bill O'Brien, he takes a lot of heat, and as he deserves for the front office moves he makes and for some decisions within the game we've seen. Definitely deserves that, but I think he's a really good, motivator in getting his team prepared. So I think you can't underestimate him that way. 16 is going to be the Colts. Another team that is pretty complete. There's really not a spot on their team maybe where I say, that's a huge problem. I don't really have that, but at the same time, I don't know if there's anything that's really. The offensive line is top tier, which it's very hard to repeat consecutive, offensive line. It's one of the most unpredictable things. Nothing tells me that they will drop down, but that's something to keep in mind. I do really like the offensive line. Darius Leonard, one of the best in the game. So, and then they add DeForest Buckner. We'll see how he'll click with it. It's a totally different defense. It's obviously a really good player. So that's stuff to get excited about. Wow about. With this team, where the impact is, the big impact is, other spots, is defense really inconsistent. At times it just, it'll give up a ton of points, and at times, they'll big time playmakers will step up and kind of carry that load, and they'll hold teams short. So we need to see the Colts defense stay consistent. There's a lot of young talent on their team. It's just a lot of still fresh faces and still inconsistencies. And then you look at the offense. Offensive lines there. They add Rivers, so they got better at quarterback. You can say how they click with a new team. The lack of weapons at receiver. I love T.Y. Hilton. Can he stay healthy? Running back group's pretty good. So overall, being 16, it's a pretty good team. It's a pretty good team that got better. Pretty complete team. Do they have enough to take that next step? Is kind of the question. 15 is the Chicago Bears, which a team I think I'm higher on than most. And it's a team that I think definitely can win the NFC North. For now, they maybe in terms of power rankings, they won't be at the very top. But again, I'm not ranking, when I'm, for an example, we're on the NFC North. When I'm ranking the Lions, Bears, I'm not going, will the Bears, have a better record than the Lions this year? That's not what I'm doing here at all. So the Bears at 15, their roster as a whole maybe you want to say isn't 15. That's why people are ranking them lower. But they have a lot of spots that will boost that up and that will get you wins. And that is uniqueness to the offense. Matt Nagy's got a pretty unique offense that he did not get to run last year because of the limited quarterback play. Foles can run that. They want to run more RPO. It's going to be hard to game plan for other teams. Question of the offensive line, how will it be? 2 years ago, one of the best football last year, middle of the road. So, with better quarterback play, it could be better than middle of the road last year than it was, compared to last year. What I do worry about is the running back room. They got a couple guys that can play. I think, Nagy took a lot of heat last year. I don't really blame him. It was hard to run an offense around limited quarterback play, but I did not like how he handled kind of the running game. It's something I didn't like. But again, they don't have the best room. Like Tariq Cohen's a weapon. You can throw him the ball. Montgomery's kind of it feels like he's 5 years too late at least. He's a piece of power. He's strong as hell, but and he could continue to grow. It's just nothing, that they're not going to win games off the running game is what I'm getting to. So they have that uniqueness to that offense, though, with the unique play calling. They'll be able to run, things that'll be tough to game plan for. And the pass rush, they're one of the top tier pass rushers in football, and that's impactful. And those are reasons why, maybe they don't have as good of a roster as the Vikings or Packers, but they may just outcompete, those teams this season because of that. But there are some spots where they definitely can get better. Limited draft picks kind of held that back. So that was unfortunate, but, they did get Khalil Mack out of it, and that kind of goes into the pass rush being a huge factor into why they can be better, really better than the 15th overall team when the season starts. 14 is another NFC North team. It's the Vikings. I think really in the NFC North, in terms of the overall roster, I'd say the Vikings probably at the top. But yeah, kind of going back to how many impact players, and they have some impact players, but how unique that offense is, unpredictable is it, and that's kind of where I worry about the Vikings. They got a pretty good running back, Dalvin Cook. You got Adam Thielen. Is he going to continue to be the same? He's hurt last year. Is there just enough firepower there? And then health is a concern as well. Is there enough firepower, and are they unique enough? Sometimes it feels like their offense is, an offense of the past. So maybe that holds them back. Also, a lot of new faces on the defense side, even though the impact players are still there on the defense side. Danielle Hunter, Harrison Smith, Eric Kendricks, Anthony Barr. You can keep going. But a lot of new faces, and that could hurt them this year. So a pretty talented roster though overall. Even if there's new faces, it's pretty talented. But is there enough juice, enough firepower for them to get over that hump? That's kind of the question there. And that's the reason why at the end of the year the Bears could be better than them, just because they have that uniqueness to their offense. They got something new, hard to game plan against, and then they have that crazy pass rush. Not that the Vikings isn't good. They did lose Everson Griffin. They could get him back, but Danielle Hunter's an absolute beast. But that's kind of what they're missing there, that extra juice. But again, the roster's pretty good. Cowboys got a pretty good roster as well. They're at 13. Love their draft, one of the best drafts, pre-season, I should say, evaluating based on prospect evaluations, and where, you get what I'm saying. Pretty damn good. They got better, but can't let that, and I do have them at 13, but you can't let that override everything. Rookies make a pretty big impact these days, but only a select few sometimes. Only a couple of them sometimes. So you can't overact too much from that. And you kind of go back to the actual free agency, who they lost, who they gained. And looking at that, it kind of felt like they kind of got worse than last year. You couldn't look at the team and say they got better based on that. They went and got better through the draft. Either their coaching will be better, so you can take those things and say they'll be better. But free agency, I'm kind of going back to that, thinking about that. Couldn't bump him up any higher than this. But overall, a pretty complete team. Dak Prescott's going to continue to get better, especially adding a guy like CeeDee Lamb. The running back group's good. Offensive line lost Travis Frederick, so that's kind of tough, but still a good offensive line. Got to stay healthy. Defense, probably got to stay healthy too. Van Der Esch needs to stay on the field, but having a guy like Jalen Smith is big time. The defensive line, some spots you can get better, but it's pretty solid. Secondary was kind of their spot where, you definitely feel like they can get better. They lost Byron Jones. They do add Trevon Diggs, but you don't get better over Byron Jones adding Trevon Diggs. So there are spots where they could get better. I'm just kind of banking on Dak and that offense clicking more and improving, especially with this coaching staff. Number 12 is the Packers. Just like the Cowboys, you look at the free agency. Really, for the Packers, you look at this entire offseason, and did they get better from last year? I think last year's Packers team is better than this year's. There's a lot that says that. But I still have them, up top 12 just because they do have that juice. They have that firepower. LaFleur, second year. Rodgers kind of learning under that. Big change for him, different what he was used to. They finally got that running game established. I shouldn't say finally. It's always been decent, but it really was an impact. Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams. Makes it interesting that they draft A.J. Dillon that high. What are they doing? But, there's nothing that tells me these guys can't continue to keep rolling. Devontae, you can't forget they were missing Devontae Adams for some time last year as well. And that's a big-time impact player. At the right tackle, that's where they kind of got hit. That's kind of where it felt like on the offense. They got worse. And I always say by not getting better, by staying the same, you get worse. And that's kind of where the hit is on the Packers. The defense, you replace Martinez with Kirksey. You can say the idea of Kirksey's better than Martinez, but we got to go back a couple years for that. So that's kind of the problem there. Well, he's got to stay healthy. Other than that, there's not much. I'm just a huge fan of that pass rush, mainly Zadarius Smith. The question is, can teams start to catch on? Because he was such a game plan nightmare last year. And I picked him for Defensive Player of the Year. I didn't hesitate to do it just because I thought he was the biggest impact to a team. And he had the production to go along with it. It's the guy that was the kind of the quarterback and offensive line's nightmare and the coaching staff. Impossible to game plan against. I thought he was the biggest reason among others that they got to where they got to. So the question is, can he continue to do that? I don't see why not, but we'll see if teams start to figure it out. I love the cornerback group, the safety group as well. I love the secondary together. So it's a pretty good roster, pretty good team here. Just will it affect them? Not really. I was going to say staying the same, but I don't know if they even stayed the same. So how much will that affect them? Number 11 is going to be the Steelers. A pretty good team last year, purely off of defense. The defense got them where they were. They almost made the playoffs based on only defense. So now you get Big Ben back. Is he going to be that great Big Ben? Probably not, but it's going to be a lot better than once where they were at last year. And then you got additions throughout the team here, throughout the draft mainly. And then you had Ebron free agency, of course. By adding guys like Claypool, McFarland, those will be impacts for them. You can't expect an insane amount, but it's a really good receiver unit. Offensive line's interesting. We're so used to the Steelers' offensive line being so good that it wouldn't. You start watching out for it now. Could it be continuing to take a step down? So that's kind of what I worry about a little bit. Nothing major. It's not a bad offensive line. Defense, it's a great defense. It's a very solid defense. Lost Hargrave, that can hurt a little bit, but I just expect this defense to keep playing at where it was playing at. So it's a pretty good all-around team, and kind of gets better by default this year. Get with Big Ben back. Hopefully he stays healthy. Number 10 is going to be the Eagles, another team that kind of has that juice, that firepower, those impact players. It's just health. They got to stay healthy. It's really all it is to it. Carson Wentz got that big playability. I think he can still continue to improve. So if he does that throughout the course of the year, that'd be fantastic for them. Miles Sanders was good for them last year. I think they really do desperately need another back, though. I don't think he's a full load type of guy. So that's one thing maybe I'm curious about, I'd say. Receiver unit definitely got better. They got some playmakers there. Got to stay healthy. You can say that for the receivers, the offensive line, the quarterback. And then you look at the defense, pretty good D-line. Adding Hargrave, we just talked about, I think is big time. He's a good player alone, but it makes other players, better, I think. Having a true nose tackle finally kind of makes everyone move around and play different spots and get better there. So pretty good group there. They had Darius Slay, so it just feels like the Eagles got better and they got healthier. It feels like, hopefully, we should say. So I got the Eagles number 10. May surprise people with this one. I got the Denver Broncos at number 9. This is a really good roster. This is a really, really good roster. It's a complete roster. It's second year of Vic Fangio, who's a genius defensive coordinator. I was very high on Drew Lock. I don't think he's going to be anything spectacular this year, but he will be good enough. He will be a good quarterback. The running back group is really good. The duo, you can even talk about the trio. I guess offensive line, you still wonder about. I just don't think the offensive line is as bad as people think. I don't think Garrett Bowles is as bad as people think. Honestly, he's not good, but he's got to cut it down on the whole. It's kind of the weak spot of that team, but on the offensive line, I should say. But just got to cut it down the holdings a little bit. They were missing some guys in there. They added some new guys throughout the draft, free agency on the offensive line. So I think it's better than people think. You look at the receiver unit. Courtland Sutton's going to continue to improve. You had instant impact guys throughout the draft, what we know about the defense. You just say a lot of these complete teams that I've had throughout this, they are kind of missing that firepower, the impact players, but they got it. They got it at the receiver position. They got it at the running back position. They got it at the pass rush. I mean, look at that pass rush. Von Miller, Bradley Chubb. People forget that Bradley Chubb missed a lot of last year, pretty much all of it. That he's going to be back. It's a really good duo. The defensive line is very solid. Some young guys in there. You look at the cornerback spot is kind of what holds them back a little bit. But when you have, to me, you don't really have to value that position that high when you have the pass rush, when you have the rest of the defense there. We saw what Vic Fangio did with corners in Chicago. Kyle Fuller was pretty much labeled a bust. And then Vic Fangio able to work with him, make him better, but mainly make kind of the front of the defense better, and that kind of by default makes the cornerbacks better. Having a big playmaker like Justin Simmons back there is fantastic. I mean, this is a really complete, really good roster, really good coach, second year. Another thing that people are forgetting about, they upgrade offense coordinators big time. There's a huge difference. They step up to Shurmur there, Pat Shurmur. That's big time for me. I think it's the perfect guy for Drew Lock. And you saw what Pat Shurmur did with the Vikings. With Case Keenum's got to step in. They got injury after injury at quarterback. You see what he does with a guy like Case Keenum. You can compare Drew Lock to Case Keenum in a way with a lot more upside. And then the Vikings play calling's been a complete mess since Shurmur left, and they have not been able to repeat even with a better quarterback. So that kind of just says what I think about Pat Shurmur. So the Broncos got better. They are better. They're complete. They got firepower. They got that impact. I like this Broncos team a lot. It's a team that I'm really liking for the season. We'll see what the schedules look like. But and you remember last year they kind of stuck with teams with a pretty disastrous season. They should have won a lot more games with who was in at quarterback and what was going on. So it's a team you can't sleep on for sure. The Bills are 8, pretty much in the same boat. They're very, very complete team. Very complete, and they got the studs there as well. I like Josh Allen. Is he going to? Same thing. Is he going to be elite? No, he's not going to be elite. But I like Josh Allen. I think he's pretty good. I think some people rip him a little too much. You had a big time playmaker like Stephon Diggs. I think it's absolutely perfect for that offense. This could be one of the better receivers in football. I'm not saying the best, but one of the better ones in football with this offense here. Pretty good running back duo. They got. We talk about adding Diggs, kind of makes the receiver unit better. The offense line got a much better last year. I think it can continue to get better with what they're adding, what they got. The defense, they got some studs there. Tremaine Edmonds. Tremaine Edmonds was coming in as a high prospect, high grade, especially for me, prospect, because he's flashy, freakish size, freakish athleticism. He's got a ton of potential. My thoughts were the only downside was, and I was higher on him than anybody, but there was maybe a little downside that I wasn't too worried about. Maybe he's going to be a little raw. He's not going to be too great right away, but he's already pretty damn good, and this guy has crazy upside. You have one of the better secondaries in football. They got Ed Oliver was another guy. This guy was playing out of position at Houston, so he's going to go play in the correct position in the NFL, going from Houston to playing in the NFL at Buffalo. He may not do a whole bunch right away to where his potential is, and he played pretty damn good right away. They had Quentin Jefferson. They got a long list of guys in the interior line. They could get better at pass rush, but it's going to be good enough. It's a really good Bills team here. It's a really good Bills team. The Titans are in the same boat. Very complete team. They got the firepower like Derrick Henry, the running group there that opens up the pass. Tannehill, that opens up play action pass specifically. Tannehill's a fantastic play action pass quarterback. People kind of, will he continue to play? Like, was it a fluke season? No. He will continue to play at that high of a level because this is a perfect offense for him, and he's a pretty good quarterback. The question is, can he stay healthy? I'm not predicting injuries here. Can he stay healthy? That's the question. And it's the defense. Vrabel's got that defense playing at a high level. It's a very complete defense. Jeffrey Simmons is going to continue to get better. It's a guy we only got to see as a rookie half the season last year. Big-time factor. Secondary is good, really good. Kevin Byard being one of the best safeties in the league. Pretty good corner group. The inside linebackers, talk about the inside linebackers. Those guys are studs over there. They got Jayon Brown, Rashaan Evans, David Long. That's might be one of the better inside linebacker groups in football, and they use them in unique ways with the blitz and coverage. It's a unique team, a complete team, some firepower there. Number 6 pretty much just shows how good Russell Wilson is because this roster is just not, plain and simple, it's just not as good as the Titans, Bills, Broncos, some of these teams. It's just not even really close, and it's not really close to the teams ahead of them. Russell Wilson's that good. They got a good coaching staff. They do get a little conservative at times. I like the running back group of healthy Chris Carson. There's pieces I like. Bobby Wagner is one of the best middle linebackers in football. There's pieces I like everywhere. More than that, it's just, they could add a lot more. There other top tier teams in the top 6, whatever it is, top 5, just have more completeness and more to the team. The Seahawks got good players here and there, but mainly Russell Wilson, and that kind of just shows how good he is, and they'll be at the top because of that. I just wish they would kind of complete this damn thing and be easily the best team in football. But they still come in at number 6 there. Number 5 is going to be the Saints. I always say, if you don't really get better, if you don't change some things, even if you're the Chiefs, you're the top team, you don't really improve. You kind of go backwards, and I say that because it's been factual so many times. But the Saints somehow kind of just go against that. It just feels like every year they're pretty much the same team. It's just the same Saints, but they just continue to win. So that is impressive on the coaching staff, impressive on Drew Brees. But then this offseason they do add guys like Emmanuel Sanders. They have only bringing a couple guys in the draft, but some impactful guys perhaps. They added Janoris Jenkins at some point last year, so him more time in there. So for the most part, they add some things. But again, it's one of those teams. Yeah, it's pretty much the same. So once again, in the back of my mind, I do worry about it a little bit. Will teams finally start to figure it out? Drew Brees, really, you can't sit here and say he's definitely very good, but you can't sit here and say he's the same as what he once was. Seems like some of the arm strength got taken off of that. So can it finally happen? It's one of those teams where can it finally happen in the back of your mind, but nothing really supports that. It's a very good, well-rounded, complete team. Really no holes, just not a spot where I can say, okay, they definitely need to get better there. None of that. But they have the big-time players as well. Drew Brees still is a big-time player. Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, one of the best receivers in football, of course. The offensive line's there. You look at the defense, you got Cam Jordan. Hopefully Sheldon Rankins can stay healthy. Demario Davis had a career year. Hopefully he can continue that. So it's a lot of players to like, so they pretty much check all the boxes there. It's just one of the tougher tasks, once again, is just can you stay consistent? And it's been one of the more impressive things in all of football there. But then they just can't get over that hump. So we'll see if they can kind of stay consistent, get over that hump this year. The Niners got a tough task, too, to repeat that. There's teams that believe, of course, they'll repeat that because they're young, they're fairly new, they're complete, they got firepower, and that's correct. And there's some teams that don't think they'll be able to repeat, this year because they do have guys with injury concerns. Will Garoppolo play as good in the regular season? After losing the Super Bowl, teams kind of go south. It's just a very complete, and again, it's a complete roster. It's a well coached team. They got better with Trent Williams, adding guys like that. They got 2 first-round picks they added. But yeah, so there's really nothing for me to move them down. It's just going to be like the Saints. It's going to be kind of a tough task to, for the most part, be this pretty much the same team that everyone got the game plan for last year. Can they continue that now playing that first place schedule too? But really good team. They got every layer pretty much. Look at the defense, look at the offense. You got pretty much every layer throughout the team where it says yes, it's a very good team. The Ravens are going to be number 3. It's a tough one because people say will Lamar Jackson be able to repeat? And again, unique offenses kind of get figured out early. After a year, or two because teams got more. Most teams only played them once. We only got one chance at it. Just think about that. Yeah, they played a whole season. Some teams played them twice. Some teams played them once. Only one crack at watching film. You get a whole offseason, another chance. So that's kind of what happens. Why that happens all the time. Why unique offenses all of a sudden are not unique anymore. So that's what happens. But there's nothing telling me that Lamar Jackson will, that offense will be figured out. It's one of those where it's way easier said than it is actually done because to stop this one, to stop this unique offense, you need to stop Lamar Jackson's running game because that opens the passing game, and that's where it comes in. Like it's one of those things where I feel like I don't know if it can be done. You can slow him down a little bit. I don't know if you can stop him. And he has the supporting cast. Obviously, the receiver unit will continue to get better. It could be better overall, but it will continue to get better. They lost Marshall Yanda. How much would that be an impact? They still got a solid offensive line. They got the running back group. The defense, Martindale, one of my favorite defensive coordinators. The defensive line, in terms of the pass rush they'll bring, got a lot better. So that's unique in a way. The linebacker unit, though, in their 3-4 is something I am a little worried about. I think it was an important piece, the inside linebacker, to be specific. Got a couple rookies coming in that they got better with that from where they were before the draft, I should say. But how much of an impact will that be? The pass rush was usually been generated from inside, blitzing, really. And so the pass rushers actually have to take a step up. I think they're expecting their actual defensive line to bring more pass rush, as it should, adding guys like Calais Campbell, Derek Wolfe. The secondary is fantastic, one of the best, maybe the best in football. So that's going well for them. It's a top 3 team. It's a top-tier team. It's hard to stop Lamar Jackson. We saw the Titans did figure it out, though, kind of. That's the only thing that kind of sticks in the back of your mind. Can teams start to figure it out? Number 2 for me is the Bucs. People get mad at me. I'm on the Bucs train. I don't care. It's a really good team. People want to say just because they had Brady, and that's just BS. It's not just because they had Brady. But let's back up. Adding Tom Brady to a really good team is a big deal. It's a big deal for sure. So you can't really say it's not, but it's more than that. You have Tom Brady. Now you add Gronkowski, the best tight end to ever play the game. We saw what the Patriots were with and without him. We saw what Brady was with and without him. So it's big time for them. They, Tom Brady with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin is taking that role and improving more than anybody in the league at the receiver position. That role of area and slot receiver that can also play outside big time. Tyler Johnson, another guy that kind of pairs with them. The offensive line got better. I think adding, another year under Arians. Keep in mind, Arians' first year last year. It's tough to do something special in your first year as a coach, even no matter who you are. So second year, fantastic. I think that by default makes the offensive line better. I think, young offensive line altogether, another year makes it better by default. Adding Tristan Wirfs makes it better. Adding Tom Brady, the guy who controls the offense, makes it better. Look at the defense. Defensive line played very well last year. Vita Vea finally in his correct spot as a nose tackle, top-tier run defender. Ndamukong Suh played very well in the regular season last year, fit very well. The pass rush, remember, Jason Pierre-Paul only played half of the season last year, and he was tremendous in that new defense. And Shaq Barrett, only his first year with the Buccaneers, his first year starting full-time, very productive. You could say he won't repeat that, and maybe I'll agree with you. He's not going to get that many sacks. He's still going to be a big impact. He's still going to be a really good player for them. Looking at the inside linebackers, Devin White, Levante David. Levante David, at this point, is underrated. This is a top-tier linebacker. He does so much. And then Devin White is the younger version of him. Freak guy, can cover well, can get in the backfield blitz. In the secondary, which people rip because a couple years ago was bottom in the NFL, it's just not the same. It's a different defense altogether. They have young pieces everywhere that they continue to add over the last 2 years. They added Antoine Winfield even to that. The one thing they could have added was a playmaking safety. They did that. It's a very complete team with some absolute studs everywhere. They have the firepower to be a top-tier contender. And a well-coached team, I might add, as well. Some people can get off me about being high in the Bucs. It's a really, really good team. The only thing stopping them would be injuries, like a lot of other teams. The Chiefs remain at 1. Best team in football last year, won the Super Bowl. They'll remain there. The best player in football, Patrick Mahomes. They have the units around him, though. The offensive line played at a high level. The receivers played at a high level. Having a very good group there with the speed to match, everyone's, the philosophy there, I guess. You had Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which is absolutely perfect. You had him to Damian Williams. Absolutely perfect. Remember, the defense just switched to a 4-3 last year. Spagnuolo, first year there. we didn't really get to see some of the players. Juan Thornhill couldn't even finish. Couldn't play the playoffs because he was hurt. It's a big time rookie safety for them. He's going to continue to get better. I think we'll see more of Breland Speaks this year. Chris Jones is an elite defensive tackle, and that was his first year playing in a different scheme. Frank Clark, second year with the Chiefs. The list goes on. They have the best player in football. They have the best offense, the today's offense, the hard to game plan against, the hard to stop, even though you know what's coming. They have the big time playmakers on defense and improving defense. Tyrann Mathieu too. Forgot to add him in there. It's the best team in football right now. The Bucs could be the NFC team to kind of match that. The Ravens are knocking on the door. I still think, all about matchup, and this is the power rankings ain't all about matchup. I'm comparing 32 teams, not two, but what I mean by that is the Ravens definitely could win it all as well because if the Ravens played the Chiefs last year, if they got by the Titans, it could have been a bad matchup. We could be talking about the Ravens were the Super Bowl champions, so that does play a big part. I can't wait for the schedules to come out. We'll break those down and we'll start making our predictions. These are my power rankings for now. Please click that like button. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Be nice. I can handle anything, though. Any type of debate I can handle. So we'll be all right. Follow that Twitter. We really appreciate that. If you do that, click the like button and subscribe to both of our channels. I have been talking for too long. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.